it's Megan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making up some Valentine treats to put into some Valentine boxes to give out to some friends. So let's turn the camera around and I'll show you the cookies that we're going to be making. Okay, here's what you need for the Swig sugar cookies. You are going to need sour cream, sugar, flour, powdered sugar, baking soda, cream of tartar, 2 eggs, 1 cup of butter, some salt, and some oil. And I forgot to mention you'll also need some vanilla. So to start with the Swig cookies, you need to add your 1 cup of butter. I'm just adding mine to my stand mixer because that's the easiest way to mix the cookies. And then you're going to add your 3/4 cup of oil. Then you're going to need 1 1/4 cups of sugar, white sugar. This is a 1/2 cup measure. And then you'll need to add 3/4 cup of powdered sugar. And then you're going to add your 1/2 teaspoon of salt, baking soda, and cream of tartar. And you just need to sprinkle them around the top so that they're not clumpy. Okay, now I'm just gonna take this over to my mixer and give it a good mix until everything's nice and combined. Okay, so here's what that looks like all mixed up. It's nice and light and fluffy. Okay, next we're going to add our 2 eggs, our 2 tablespoons of sour cream, and our 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're just gonna go put this back in the mixer and mix it up till everything's nice and incorporated. Okay, so here's what we're looking like now. Next, we are going to add our 5 1/2 cups of flour, and then we'll give it another mix. Okay, I'm gonna use my big 3 tablespoon cookie scoop to scoop these out onto my cookie sheet. They don't spread a ton, so we're gonna roll out our cookie dough balls. I'm gonna smash them down, and kind of the size that you smash them down to is about the size that they are going to be. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take a nice flat bottomed cup. I'm gonna spray the bottom of it with some cooking spray, and then I'm just going to dip that in my little bowl of sugar right here and press down on the cookies to flatten them and to kind of make a little ridge to hold the frosting. I cup in the sugar, and then I come and push down on the cookie. And I find it easiest if you do re-sugar your cup every time. I always try to not re-sugar it every time, and my cookies always stick. So I just find it easiest just to re-sugar it every time. And then, like I mentioned, the size that they're squished down to is about the size that they will be when they come out of the oven. They don't usually spread too much. And you can make these smaller if you'd like. I have done that before, especially if I'm doing them for like a kid's party or something. But I really like the big size. Okay, now that that's all done, we're gonna cook these at 350 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes, just until they are starting to set. You don't want to overcook them because you want them to be nice and chewy still. For the frosting for the cookies, you are going to need some sour cream, milk, vanilla, butter, and powdered sugar. Okay, so for the frosting, we're going to add in our 3/4 cup of butter, And I'm going to whip that with 2 tablespoons of sour cream and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, now I'm going to add my 6 cups of powdered sugar and my 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk or cream. I'm going to be using milk today. And I'm just going to start with 1 tablespoon of milk because you can always add more if your frosting's too thick. I'm gonna mix this back in my, put this back in my mixer and mix it all together. Once it's getting close to the end, I'm gonna add some food coloring to turn it pink for Valentine's Day. Okay, so here's what my frosting looks like after I have added my food coloring. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take one of my cookies and then I'm just gonna frost on a nice big dollop of frosting. Sprinkle on some sprinkles, and then just kind of let those start to dry. For the chocolate candy cookies, you're going to need powdered sugar. That's only for the end when you are rolling your cookies if you want to do that step. You also will need some brown sugar, butter, eggs, sugar, flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, salt, and then you'll need some peppermint extract as well as some vanilla. And you also need some candies to melt on top. Today I'm going to be using some leftover candy cane kisses as well as some Andes mints. If you're using peppermint style candies, you can use the peppermint extract, which is what I'm going to do. But you can make this recipe with pretty much any kind of candy bar, like chocolate kind of candy bar that you want. And then you can decide if peppermint would go with it and you'd want to add that extract or not. I'm also going to be making a doubled recipe, but you can just make a single recipe. I'll make sure to link it down in the description box below. So to start off, I'm going to add in 2 sticks of butter. Okay, next I'm going to add a cup of brown sugar. And then we're going to add 1.5 cups of white sugar. And then I'm gonna go throw this in my KitchenAid and mix this up until everything's light and fluffy and creamy. Okay, so here we are with this being all nice and fluffy. Next we're going to add I'm gonna add 4 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 2 teaspoons of peppermint extract. Okay, now I'm gonna go mix these up, and then we will add our flour and the last of our ingredients. Okay, so next we're going to add 3 1/3 cup of flour, 1 cup of cocoa powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now my cocoa powder is a little bit clumpy, so I am just going to sift it into my mixing bowl just to make sure that I don't have any clumps end up in my cookies. So I don't know if you're able to see in there, but I do have a couple of pretty big clumps of cocoa, and that would not be pleasant to bite into in a cookie. Okay, now I'm going to carefully mix this all together and then we can start rolling out the cookies. Okay, now with these cookies, I like to make them small, so I just use my regular 1 tablespoon cookie scoop. I'm not going to be rolling them in powdered sugar today, but you can if you want to. That's what gives it like the classic like crinkle cookie look. So I'm just gonna roll these out onto the cookie sheet and then bake them at 350 for 9 to 10 minutes. And if the dough ever gets too sticky or hard to work with, you can pop it in the fridge to chill it, and that will help it come out of your cookie scoop easier. Sometimes I need to do that, sometimes I don't. It just kind of depends on the weather and the day. Okay, so while those cookies are in the oven, I'm going to be unwrapping my treats. Currently I have 30 cookies in the oven, so I'm going to start with unwrapping 30 of my candy cane kisses. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my kisses and I'm just going to put them on each one of the cookies, starting to squish it down. I'm just going to let these sit for a couple of minutes for them to melt. And once they're a little bit more melted, I'll come back and kind of swirl the kisses around to turn them pink for Valentine's Day. For Christmas time, I usually just like press them down. But for Valentine's Day, I like to swirl them around to make them pink. So after these have sat and melted for a little bit, I'll come back and show you what I do next. So I put these back on top of my oven for a few minutes to kind of help them melt down. And a lot of them are pretty soft. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my spoon and I'm just going to kind of swirl them around. Kind of make them a little bit pink, or at least swirl the stripes around a little bit. While I'm doing that, I'm doing the ones that are extra soft right now so that the other ones can continue to melt down. Okay, so now that I have them all melted and swirled, where I live, it's currently -2 today. So I'm going to go pop these outside for them to kind of flash cool. And then the chocolate part will harden up, and once they're all hardened up, then it's easy to store them away. So here are my finalized boxes. I put 2 of the sugar cookies and 4 of the chocolate peppermint cookies in each box, and I think they turned out really cute. I added a little bit of parchment paper down at the bottom to kind of give it some height, and then I covered that with just a cute Valentine's napkin, just to add a little bit more color. If you liked this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and make sure you come back next week where I will have a new video for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.